She was more than just the woman revealing dream cars on Overhaulin. Adrianne AJ Janic was the heartbeat of the show, the calm in the chaos, and the face millions grew to love. But behind the polished smile and camera-ready charm was a woman quietly fighting battles no one saw: loss, betrayal, and the crushing weight of fame. What really happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Why did she vanish from the spotlight? And what dark truths has she kept hidden all these years? Stick around, because this is the untold story of AJ Janic, and it's not the one you think. Before we dive into the video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Now let's get into the video. Long before Adrianne AJ Janic became the charismatic co-host of Overhaulin, she was simply a girl from Whittier, California, navigating two very different cultural worlds. Born to a Mexican mother and a Serbian father, AJ's identity was shaped by a unique blend of tradition, discipline, and fiery passion. Her upbringing wasn't rooted in red carpets or cameras. It was grounded in humility, family, and strong values. From an early age, she learned that success wasn't handed out. It had to be earned. Growing up, AJ stood out, not just for her striking features, but for her poise and energy. She was naturally curious, drawn to the arts, and possessed a quiet confidence that set her apart. Dance became her first love. She trained in ballet and jazz, and performance quickly became her language. While most kids were busy figuring out who they were, AJ already had a sense of direction. She wanted to be seen, not for fame, but for expression. But despite her talents, life at home wasn't always easy. The cultural expectations from both sides of her family created a tension she didn't always know how to reconcile. Her mother expected modesty and hard work. Her father emphasized tradition and resilience. As the only child, AJ carried the weight of those expectations on her shoulders. She learned to walk the tightrope between cultures, constantly navigating what it meant to be enough. For her family, for her community, and eventually for the world. After high school, AJ chose to pursue her dream. She enrolled in college, but quickly realized the academic path wasn't her true calling. The pull of performance was too strong. So with a suitcase of ambition and a head full of dreams, she stepped into the competitive world of entertainment. She started small: commercials, print modeling, promotional events. Nothing glamorous at first, but AJ wasn't deterred. She was patient, disciplined, and fiercely committed to carving out a place for herself in an industry that didn't often make room for women like her. And slowly, opportunity knocked. The girl from Whittier, with a dancer's grace and a warrior's resolve, was about to step into a spotlight she never saw coming. As AJ Janic navigated the early stages of her entertainment career, she was met with the cold reality of an industry that often valued appearance over authenticity. Yet, AJ refused to become a stereotype. She didn't want to be just another pretty face in a commercial or background model in a music video. She wanted substance. Her early gigs included a wide range of commercial work, brands like Coca-Cola, Heineken, and even a stint as one of the original Fantanas in the Fanta soft drink campaign. These roles gave her exposure, but they also taught her how easy it was to get typecast. Determined not to be boxed in, AJ began expanding her repertoire. She auditioned relentlessly, taking small hosting gigs, red carpet interviews, and behind-the-scenes duties that didn't come with glamour, but came with growth. Her on-camera presence began to evolve. She wasn't just reading lines anymore, she was connecting, and soon, producers noticed. One of her first major breaks came as a host on TLC's Hot Import Nights, a series that blended the worlds of tuner culture, music, and street fashion. It was the perfect fit. AJ was already fluent in car culture thanks to her Southern California roots, and her comfort in front of the camera gave her a unique edge. This role helped her stand out in a sea of hosts and models. She wasn't pretending to be part of the scene, she was part of it. Around this time, AJ also began doing guest spots on various automotive and lifestyle programs, slowly building a reputation as a rare mix of beauty and brains in a male-dominated industry. But the real turning point was just around the corner, when the producers of Overhaulin came calling. They weren't just looking for a host. They needed someone who could bridge the gap between wrench-turning car guys and mainstream audiences. Someone relatable, likable, and real. They found that in AJ. In 2004, Overhaulin debuted on TLC with a mission: take unsuspecting car owners and surprise them with custom automotive makeovers, courtesy of Chip Foose and a crew of talented fabricators. But as much as the show centered on cars, it needed a human element, someone to engage the marks, keep the pranks believable, and walk viewers through the emotional journey. That's where AJ Janic came in. From the very first episodes, AJ's role was more than ornamental. She was the show's emotional anchor. Her empathy, humor, and timing helped balance the high-stakes fabrication and mechanical hustle happening in the background. She became the face audiences trusted, someone who genuinely cared about the stories behind the builds. Whether calming down a confused car owner or breaking the tension with a well-placed joke, AJ's presence gave the show its heart, and viewers responded. She wasn't just the pretty girl in the garage, she was the glue that held the show's emotional arc together. Her chemistry with Chip Foose was effortless, her humor disarming, and her ability to switch from lighthearted to heartfelt made her invaluable. She quickly became a fan favorite, with her presence drawing in audiences who might not have otherwise cared about vintage Camaros or muscle car rebuilds. But with fame came scrutiny. Some critics dismissed her role as superficial, failing to understand how essential she was to the show's success. Behind the scenes, AJ worked tirelessly, not just in front of the camera, but in production meetings, segment prep, and logistics. She was committed to telling real stories, not just showcasing shiny cars. Still, not everyone appreciated her contributions. As her profile rose, so did the behind-the-scenes tension. There were whispers of jealousy, of clashes with producers over how much screen time she should get, and whether she was too polished for a shop-based show. But AJ stayed focused. She knew the work mattered. The fans knew it too. While AJ Janic's face was becoming a staple in automotive households, her personal life was beginning to suffer under the weight of her growing fame. The demands of shooting, traveling, and media appearances took a toll on her relationships. Friends began to drift. Dating became nearly impossible. And behind the bright smile and upbeat on-camera presence, AJ was growing tired. She once described the entertainment industry as a beautiful illusion, glamorous on the outside, chaotic within. Between shoots, she faced periods of loneliness and self-doubt. In a field where women were often judged by their looks alone, AJ constantly felt the pressure to maintain an impossible standard. Her weight, her style, even her voice, everything was subject to critique. And unlike her male counterparts, she had to prove her credibility again and again. She began experiencing bouts of anxiety, panic attacks before live appearances, insomnia during long shoots. But she didn't talk about it publicly. The industry didn't welcome vulnerability. She feared that opening up about her struggles would brand her as difficult or unstable, labels no woman in Hollywood wanted. Instead, she pushed through, smiling for the cameras, holding it together, and silently carrying the weight of being the show's face, while never letting it crack. But offset, the cracks were forming. She began pulling back from the party scene, spending more time alone, and reflecting on what the fame was costing her. Overhaulin had given her a platform, but it was also beginning to take a toll on her identity. Who was she when the cameras weren't rolling? When she wasn't AJ the host, but just Adrianne? The pressure to be perfect was beginning to suffocate her, and no one, not even her fans, could see it coming. By the mid-2000s, Adrianne AJ Janic was riding a career high. She had not only cemented herself as the beloved host of Overhaulin, but she had also expanded her resume with appearances on shows like Hot Import Nights, TLC's Rides, and even guest spots on CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, and Las Vegas. She was everywhere. TV, magazines, red carpets. But the spotlight came with shadows. AJ had always been grounded, but the constant hustle of fame began to change her rhythm. She was juggling photo shoots, brand endorsements, and cross-country appearances, all while keeping up the bubbly, sharp-witted persona fans adored. Privately, though, she was exhausted. Her schedule left no room for stillness, no time for self-reflection. She was performing, on camera, and off. Worse, the pressure to maintain her image intensified. She was told to be sexier, but not too sexy, to appeal to gearheads without intimidating them, to smile more but not speak too much about anything controversial. It was a delicate dance between visibility and invisibility. a paradox many women in entertainment understand all too well. Her personal relationships continued to suffer. A long-term boyfriend reportedly walked away, saying he no longer recognized her. Friends from before her fame quietly fell away. And AJ, now more successful than ever, found herself growing more isolated. The irony wasn't lost on her. The higher she climbed, the lonelier it became. And underneath the loneliness, something else began brewing. Resentment. Toward an industry that demanded so much but gave so little. Toward the perception that she was only where she was because of her looks. Toward the idea that if she ever stopped smiling, the whole facade would crumble. AJ began asking herself difficult questions about who she was, what she wanted, and how much more she was willing to give for a version of success that didn't seem to love her back. While AJ Janic was still maintaining a polished image for the public, her world was quietly falling apart behind the scenes. Around 2010, AJ was hit with a devastating personal blow. Her mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness. The diagnosis came quickly and progressed even faster. AJ had always been extremely close to her mother, who had supported her relentlessly through every audition, rejection, and triumph. Losing that anchor shook her to the core. She tried to balance caregiving with her demanding career, flying between shoots and hospital visits, keeping the grief bottled behind makeup and camera lights. But the cracks were undeniable. She began missing gigs. Her appearances became less frequent. Producers noticed. Her once magnetic energy began to dim. And then, in 2012, the inevitable happened. Her mother passed away. AJ was gutted. Her grief wasn't publicized. She didn't release statements or do interviews. She disappeared. Fans assumed she was taking a break. Insiders knew it was more than that. AJ had hit a wall, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. The loss of her mother coincided with a deep questioning of everything she'd built. The fame, the hustle, the image. None of it felt fulfilling anymore. For the first time, she seriously considered leaving the industry altogether. She was burnt out, disillusioned, and deeply heartbroken. Overhaulin was nearing its initial end as well, and the timing felt like a cosmic push to step back. AJ quietly retreated from Hollywood. She stopped taking on camera work. She declined events. And as the TV world moved on, AJ began facing a terrifying new chapter. Life without her career and her biggest supporter. It was the lowest point of her life. But in that silence, something unexpected began to grow. Stepping away from the limelight gave AJ Janic something she hadn't felt in years: clarity. Grieving her mother, detaching from the entertainment machine, and letting go of the relentless pressure allowed her to reconnect with herself. She realized she had spent more than a decade playing a role, not just on TV, but in life. The polished host, the perfect woman, the ever-smiling pro, and she was tired of pretending. AJ started therapy. She traveled. She journaled. Slowly, she began healing. It was during this healing process that she discovered a new passion: wellness and self-empowerment. She'd always been into fitness and health, but now she saw it through a different lens, as a tool for transformation. She began training in yoga, learning meditation, and studying holistic wellness. This wasn't about staying thin for camera angles anymore. It was about survival. In 2015, she returned to the public eye, not on a car show, but as a speaker at a wellness retreat. She shared her story of burnout, grief, and rebuilding. The response was overwhelming. Women approached her in tears, thanking her for her honesty. For the first time, AJ was being seen not for how she looked, but for what she'd lived. She began creating content around wellness and inner strength. She launched a small digital series focused on women in male-dominated industries and started blogging about grief, healing, and authenticity. She didn't chase sponsorships. She didn't try to reclaim her old fame. She just told the truth. Offers to return to automotive programming continued trickling in, and eventually she decided to say yes, but only on her terms. That same year, Overhaulin was revived for a new season. The producers reached out to AJ with a clear message. The fans missed her. They wanted her back, not just as a pretty face, but as the soul of the show. After much deliberation, AJ agreed. But this time, it wouldn't be about acting the part. It would be about authenticity. When she returned to Overhaulin, AJ wasn't the same person viewers remembered. She was sharper, more self-assured, and noticeably more present. Gone was the host who politely smiled through every reveal. In her place was a woman who asked deeper questions, connected with the car owners on a personal level, and used her platform to share stories of resilience. Fans responded with overwhelming positivity. Many commented that AJ had aged like fine wine, not just in appearance, but in substance. Her comeback wasn't loud, it was powerful, and it proved something crucial. She didn't need to change to be relevant. She only needed to be real. That brief revival of Overhaulin reminded AJ of her roots, but it also confirmed something she'd long suspected. She didn't need TV to make an impact anymore. Her purpose had evolved, and now it was time to expand beyond the screen. As AJ stepped into the next phase of her career, she embraced her newfound identity as a wellness advocate and mentor for women. She began speaking more openly about her past, particularly the parts she had once hidden. In 2018, she quietly revealed in an interview that she had battled depression following her mother's death and the end of her long-term relationship. She also hinted at past experiences with emotional manipulation and verbal abuse, though she didn't name names. The interview didn't go viral, and AJ didn't push it to. But for those who saw it, it was a turning point. The woman once known for style and grace was now known for strength and honesty. She also began mentoring women in the entertainment and automotive industries. She hosted workshops, participated in charity builds, and launched a podcast that featured women telling their stories of resilience in male-dominated fields. AJ had always been a trailblazer, but now she was lighting the path for others to follow. But she never shied away from acknowledging the toll it had all taken. On her podcast, she talked openly about anxiety, identity loss, and the harmful expectations placed on women in front of the camera. She spoke about being dismissed early in her career, about being sexualized, and about the emotional labor it took to keep smiling through it all. She also revealed the darker moments, the ones no one saw, the panic attacks before live appearances, the breakdowns between takes, the nights when she questioned if it was all worth it. By sharing these truths, AJ gave permission for others to do the same. And that, she believed, was more important than any television comeback. Today, Adrianne AJ Janic lives a quieter life than the one she once led under the glare of reality TV lights. But in many ways, she's more powerful than ever. She resides in Southern California with her husband, bodybuilding.com executive Bud Brutzman, and their son. Her days are no longer dictated by production schedules. Instead, she chooses how she shows up and when. AJ splits her time between wellness advocacy, content creation, and supporting women in industries where they're still too often overlooked. She doesn't chase relevance, it chases her, and not because of nostalgia, but because her story still resonates. She continues to attend car events, but now she's the one hosting panels about female inclusion in the automotive world. She still appears on camera occasionally, on YouTube, podcast interviews, or features, but only when the message aligns with her purpose. Behind the scenes, AJ is working on a memoir, one that doesn't just celebrate the Overhaulin years, but that dives into the unspoken truths about grief, burnout, sexism, healing, and rebirth. It's her way of taking back the narrative. No producers, no scripts, just AJ, telling her story her way. Her legacy won't be defined solely by the cars she helped unveil or the tears she shed during heartfelt reveals. It'll be defined by the barriers she broke, the grace with which she rose after every fall, and the women she lifted up as she found her way forward. Adrianne Janic was once the woman standing beside the build.
Now, she's the architect of something much greater, her truth. And in telling it, she's helping others build theirs too.